Revealed, the incredible life-changing journey of a hidden peanut that touched 1,000 hearts. In the dusty little town of Millstone, where sweet tea flowed as freely as hope, a humble peanut named Percy rolled out of his shell and straight into a grand adventure. Percy, small and unassuming, began his journey down the cracked pavement of Main Street, unaware that he was set to inspire a community on the brink of despair. It was harvest festival time, but with economic struggles weighing heavy, hope felt as elusive as a summer rain. Clara, a spirited widow in her 60s, tended her family farm each day with hands that knew hard work and a heart filled with love. Losing her husband hadn't just broken her spirit, it left her grappling with the rain-soaked debts that followed them like shadows. But every weekend, her spirited grandchildren, Bob and Lily, came running, their laughter lighting up the dusky fields as they played in the tall grass. Clara cherished these moments, weaving tales of their family's history between their giggles, keeping the legacy of the farm alive. As Percy tumbled into the town square, he disrupted Clara's tedious preparations with his unexpected presence. Families, wary and weary, halted their busyness to watch the nutty spectacle unfold. Percy rolled and danced, his tiny body embodying resilience as he sparked the laughter buried beneath years of worry. Clara, surveying the scene, felt something in her chest tight and hopeful. Could this quirky peanut awaken the community's spirits? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With Percy leading the charge, folks began to shed their anxieties. Clara felt empowered, inspiring Bob and Lily to dive headfirst into festival preparations, crafting peanuts into every corner of the event. The town buzzed with renewed energy, revitalized by the humor and tenacity Percy personified. Songs rang out from porches, neighbors exchanged smiles, and hope, once scarce, began to weave through the fabric of Millstone once more. But darkness loomed on the horizon as a wealthy developer barged in with plans to erase everything they loved to build a glittering hotel. The news sent shockwaves through the town. Fear and unrest rippled, forcing neighbors into familiar corners, rekindling old grudges. Clara felt the weight of their despair but stood tall, her resolve ignited. This deserved a fight with a peanut as their mascot. As Clara rallied her friends and neighbors, the task fell heavily on her shoulders. Would they unite to save their beloved festival? Shelby, an elderly neighbor, wiped a tear, saying, "We can't let go of what matters." With her grandchildren by her side, Clara felt the weight lift just a bit. The shared dreams connected them all to roots deeper than the richest soil. As tension brewed, Clara stood before the town hall, Percy gleaming in her pocket. Will we let some greed take away our home? Her voice echoed across the crowd, hearts pounding with anticipation. There, amidst the uncertainty, Clara and the townspeople confronted a question that would either rally them or tear them apart: what makes a home? Their pulse quickening, they wondered if this small peanut could lead them toward light or plunge them into despair. The answer lay just around the corner, tantalizingly out of reach. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the heartbeat of Millstone around her. The air hung thick with tension, but also with something else, an undercurrent of determination. People from all corners of the town were gathering, their expressions a mix of concern and fierce loyalty. This was their moment, and Clara knew they could fight together. She stepped slightly forward, holding Percy up high for all to see. "This little peanut embodies the spirit of our town," she declared, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "He may be small, but he carries our hopes. If we can come together, if we can join hands as neighbors, we can protect what makes Millstone our home." Bob and Lily looked at their grandmother, their eyes wide and sparkling with newfound optimism. Inspired, they jumped up and down, shouting Percy's name, and their enthusiasm spread like wildfire. Their laughter rang out, reminding everyone of happier days. People began to cheer, fists raised in solidarity, echoing Clara's words. The shifts in mood felt palpable. Hope was no longer a whisper but a shout. As Clara watched the crowd respond, her heart swelled with pride. There were old friends, families that had history intertwined, standing side by side, ready to preserve their shared legacy. Yet, a knot twisted in her stomach at the thought of what they were up against. The developer, Mr. Grayson, was ruthless and had money. Their devotion to their town was admirable, but would it be enough? News spread quickly that Grayson was holding a town hall meeting later that week to push his plans forward. The townsfolk exchanged worry-laden glances as they dispersed. Clara knew she had to rally them for that crucial moment. If they were to stand a chance, they needed to harness the energy Percy had awakened and focus it into a plan. "Let us meet at my house after dinner tomorrow," Clara called out to the gathering crowd, her heart racing. "We'll discuss how to gather ideas to take to the meeting. Let us show Grayson that Millstone is more than just a dot on a map, it's our home." That evening, as sunlight dipped below the horizon, Clara gathered Bob and Lily, who were now buzzing with excitement. They spread out paper and crayons across the dining table, eager to capture their ideas. Bob suggested a petition, while Lily wanted to design bright banners that they could hold up engaging the community in a spirited display of protest. The children's enthusiasm lifted Clara's spirits. They could do this, they could take a stand for their home. But as she looked at the drawings and designs scattered around the table, doubt crept in. What if no one else showed up? What if they failed? As night fell, a sense of calm washed over her. They were together, a family on a mission, and that counted for something. The next day, Clara was busy preparing not just her home but also a heartfelt speech. She wanted to remind everyone about the collective joy and memories they had built in Millstone. She envisioned it, the townsfolk united under the light of hope, arms linked together. But Clara had one secret wish: could Percy become more than just a symbol? Could he be their lucky charm? She held him close, whispering, "You're our little hero. Show us the way." Clara sighed, feeling the weight of the moment. She wondered, what if this peanut truly held the key to their fight? Their battle for Millstone was about to begin, and the stakes couldn't be higher. What would happen when Clara faced Mr. Grayson? Would Percy bring the luck they so desperately needed, or would it end in heartbreak? The answers loomed like shadows, just out of reach. The days went by in a blur. Clara's heart pounded in rhythm with the ticking clock on her kitchen wall. The town hall meeting loomed closer, a storm on the horizon. Her kitchen transformed into a war room. Paper was strewn everywhere, filled with ideas that felt both full of life and fraught with importance. Bob diligently worked on the petition, his small fingers smudged with ink. Each signature represented a voice, a soul echoing their shared desire to hold on to Millstone. Beside him, Lily cut out colorful letters and glued them to poster boards, her face lit with determination. "We will show Mr. Grayson," she chirped, capturing Clara's attention. "We will show him how much we care." That evening, Clara gathered Bob and Lily close, her heart swelling with gratitude for their unwavering spirit. "You both are the real heroes," she said, ruffling their hair. "This town is lucky to have you." As she hugged them, the weight of her worries seemed to lift, if only for a moment. But deep down, doubt flickered like a candle in the dark. What would happen when they sat across from Mr. Grayson? Would words, bright posters, and heartfelt petitions be enough? She caught herself holding Percy a bit tighter, as if his tiny presence could ward off the doubts creeping in. The next morning, Clara awoke with a sense of urgency. Breakfast became a blur, the pancakes nearly burnt as she flipped through her speech, molding it in her mind. She wanted to touch every heart there. Millstone was not just a patch of land, it was a tapestry woven from laughter, tears, and shared history. As the clock struck 6, Clara's living room filled with the sound of friendly chatter. One by one, neighbors trickled in, excited and nervous. Clara welcomed them with open arms, throwing her own concerns aside to focus on the strength of their united front. "Let us come together, everyone," Clara said, her voice echoing as she rounded the group. They formed a circle, hands clasped tightly, creating a web of connected hearts. "Tonight is our chance to show what Millstone means to us. They shared stories, laughter, and even a few tears as memories were exchanged. Little moments, summer barbecues, school plays, festivals were tenderly recalled. Clara saw the light of hope shining in their eyes. Slowly but surely, the apprehension began to lift. Suddenly, someone from the back spoke up, a voice tinged with fear. What if it doesn't work? What if Mr. Grayson has too much money, too much power? It was a question lingering in everyone's heart, and Clara could feel the shroud of uncertainty threatening to creep in. But before she could respond, Percy let out a tiny squeak, drawing everyone's attention. Clara instinctively raised him high again, finding strength in his small, lively spirit. If this little peanut has taught us anything, it's that hope doesn't come from what we have but from what we believe in each other. Gasps of recognition spread across the room, reminding everyone that they were fighting not just for a piece of land, but for each other, a community bonded by more than just geography. As the night pressed on, Clara could hardly keep up with the excitement. Ideas flowed freely, and a plan formed. They would create a visual representation of their love for Millstone, a parade of colors and joy to showcase at the town meeting. Yet, as she watched them all buzz with renewed energy, Clara couldn't shake an unsettling feeling. The meeting would bring them face to face with Grayson. Would they be able to keep this spirit alive when they were met with his cold, calculated demeanor? As the candles burned low, Clara's heart fluttered with anxious anticipation. How would the confrontation unfold? Did they have what it took to truly protect their home? What did Grayson have in store for them? And could a peanut really be the key to ensuring their voices would be heard? Clara tossed and turned that night, her mind racing with thoughts of the meeting. Shadows danced on the walls, and the quiet ticking of the clock echoed like a drum in her ears. She couldn't shake the image of Mr. Grayson's smug face, his power looming over them like a dark cloud threatening to drown out their small flicker of hope. Morning arrived too early, casting soft light through her kitchen window as Clara set to preparing breakfast. There was no time for worries then, she needed to put on a brave face. Bob and Lily scampered around the house, their excitement palpable. Clara smiled at their chatter, soaking in every ounce of their youthful exuberance. It was contagious and helped soften the edges of her anxiety. After breakfast, they gathered around the dining table, brainstorming their presentation. What should we do first? Lily asked, her eyes darting among the colorful collages they had created. Clara thought for a moment. We start with our stories, she replied, recalling the power of their shared memories. We need to make him see what Millstone is, what it means to breathe this air, walk these streets, and smile at neighbors. That's right. Bob added, bouncing in his seat. If we make him feel, he can't just ignore us. Their plans solidified, Clara felt a surge of energy. She grabbed Percy, finding solace in the rhythm of his heartbeat against her palm. Let us not just be a crowd at the meeting, she urged them. Let us be a chorus. Let us show him that our voices can create a song powerful enough to break through his walls. The crowd at the town hall that evening was overwhelming. Clara's stomach twisted into knots as she stepped inside, gripping the back of her chair for support. The air buzzed with tension and expectation. Whispers floated around her, stories that mirrored her own fears. Yet, when Bob and Lily joined her, their smiles wide and bright, the weight on her chest lightened. As they waited for Mr. Grayson to arrive, Clara glanced around the room. Everyone wore expressions of determination, yet a few looked apprehensive. Clara's heart sank. What if their combined stories weren't enough? Then there he was, Mr. Grayson, gliding in with the confidence of a predator surveying its territory. Clara could feel his presence wash over the room like ice water. He took a seat at the front, adjusting his suit as if to remind them of his power. Let us begin, he said, a thin smile stretching across his face, clearly unfazed by the crowd's anxious energy. Instinctively, Clara gripped Bob's hand tight, both hers and his heart racing. One by one, they stepped forward to share their stories, open and vulnerable. Clara watched as the passion in each voice brought a flicker of surprise to Mr. Grayson's eyes, an emotion he seemed to quickly dismiss. Then it was Clara's turn. She felt a tidal wave of emotions, a mix of fear and courage crashing over her. Standing in front of the crowd, she took a deep breath and thought of the memories, the love bound to Millstone, and above all, the hope that pulsed through her veins. "I'm here for more than land," she began. "I'm here for every person in this room. I'm here for the laughter, the memories, and to show how we lift each other up." And just like that, she decided to bring Percy into her speech, raising him high for everyone to see. "This little peanut represents our community. It represents resilience, joy, and the hidden strength that comes from love. Together, we are powerful." Cheers erupted in the hall, voices blending into a chorus of unity. Clara felt herself beaming under their collective courage, the spirit of Millstone rising like a tide. But as she scanned the room for Mr. Grayson, she caught sight of something unexpected, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. A tiny spark ignited in her chest. Could they really break through his armor? As the crowd finished their rallying cry, Clara wondered. Would they sway him? Or would he crush them like a stone? And what lay in his heart that had caused such indifference? Did they have any chance at all? Clara held her breath, the vibrations of hope crackling in the air as the cheers slowly faded. She searched for Mr. Grayson, her heart racing at the possibility that they had somehow reached him. But he sat there, his expression unreadable, arms crossed tightly against his chest. What was behind that calm facade? Could they really change his mind? If he's human, he'll feel something, she whispered to herself, forcing a semblance of confidence as she stepped away from the podium. Bob and Lily stood by her side, their faces flushed with energy. They had done everything they came to do, but now it felt like a fragile thread hung between them and Mr. Grayson's decision. The murmurs around the hall shifted, becoming a blend of anxious whispers and hopeful chatter. Clara strained to catch snippets of conversations, people sharing memories, tales of laughter, of friendships forged in the warmth of Millstone. The stories had painted a vivid picture of community. Could Mr. Grayson deny that? "It's not just business to us," an older woman spoke, her voice quivering with emotion. "This is our home. It's our roots." The crowd responded with nods and murmurs of agreement. Clara felt the weight of their hopes resting on her shoulders. Bob gently nudged her, catching her lingering gaze on Mr. Grayson. "We won. Stop fighting, Clara." "Not now," he said, his determination shining through. As the night stretched on, it became clearer that what once seemed like an impossible battle now flickered with a hint of possibility. Clara watched Mr. Grayson's body language change ever so slightly, his brows furrowed, his fingers drummed against the table. It was a small movement, yet it spoke volumes. The stronger Clara's resolve became, the more she sensed the emotional current connecting them all in that room. Maybe we can make him understand, she thought, her mind racing around how to truly connect. But how? Suddenly, a timid voice rang out from the back of the hall. It was an elderly man, his hands trembling as he spoke. "I remember when my wife and I first moved here." His story poured out, the love he had for his late partner spilling over with every word. "It's where we built our lives together. The parks, the neighbors, it's all part of us." Clara felt a lump rise in her throat, as did the rest of the audience. It was the raw, honest truth that resonated deepest. The hall fell into a hushed reverence, and Clara could see it almost like a slow dawning that crept across Mr. Grayson's features. "Perhaps it's about more than profit," she murmured, her heart swelling with determination. If their stories could puncture the armor around him, then they could change the course of history. Finally, as Mr. Grayson stood up to speak, Clara felt the palpable tension hanging heavy in the air. This was it. Would he acknowledge their pain, their dreams? Would he see their strength and the community they had poured their lives into? "I have seen many places," he began, his voice calm yet commanding. "What this town has is remarkable. I've never met such resilience." Her heart raced, anticipation threading through the crowd as they leaned in, holding on to every word. Would he continue? Would he accept that the lives they built mattered more than mere transactions? But just as quickly as that hope sparked, a shadow flickered across his face. "However, we must consider the future. Change can be hard." Clara felt the wave of dread crash down, her hope faltering just as quickly as it had risen. Was that all he had to say? Did her community's fight mean nothing? The room seemed to hold its breath, and just when Clara thought Mr. Grayson would walk away a stranger, a question began to form at the back of her mind. What kind of future did he envision, and could that future finally include them? As the chapter of conversation closed, an uneasy silence settled around them. What remained to be seen was whether they could unveil the truth hidden within his heart. And as the meeting cranked into a tense silence, Clara felt the pull of action growing inside her. Would she dare to ask the question that might just bring everything to light? Clara steadied herself as the silence thickened, her palms clammy against the podium. Every heart in the room beat in rhythm with the uncertainty that clung to the air. She had to ask, to dig deeper into Mr. Grayson's vision, because if they didn't, the lives that had flourished in Millstone could slip through their fingers like sand. Mr. Grayson? She called, her voice clear despite the tremor it concealed. He turned his gaze to her, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a flicker of surprise in his eyes. What do you want to know, Clara? He asked, his calm demeanor still intact but tinged with curiosity. She drew in a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage she had. What does the future you envision for Millstone look like? What are you willing to sacrifice in the name of change? The question hung in the air, and the room buzzed with anticipation. Clara's heart pounded in her chest. This might be the opening they needed. Mr. Grayson hesitated, his expression momentarily slipping. I see progress, expansion, something that would bring in more business at the cost of our community? Bob interrupted, his voice rising. What does that really mean? You talked about resilience, but resilience thrives on the connections we have, the love we share enough. Mr. Grayson exclaimed, his voice cutting through the murmurs. The crowd fell silent, tension mounting. You're right, I'm seeing numbers, not people. Clara seized the moment, stepping closer. You felt something, Haven TU? In our stories, in our voices, there's more here than just profit margins or development plans. These are our lives. We are Millstone. His jaw tightened, and for a brief moment, a storm of emotions played across his face. Clara could sense it, a shift, a crack in the armor. What would you have me do? He asked, his voice softer now, almost vulnerable. Help us find a way forward together. Work with us, not against us, Clara urged, her heart racing. What if we could show you that business can thrive alongside community? Imagine a Millstone that thrives on both tradition and innovation. Whispers spread through the crowd, hope reigniting as people began to nod in agreement. The air, once heavy with dread, felt charged with potential. Clara's words were a bait, casting a line toward a new vision that she hoped would catch Mr. Grayson's interest. I certainly can't make any promises, he replied, but there was a flicker of something new in his voice. I'll need to think about this. His eyes darted across the room, taking in the earnest faces, the story-laden eyes that longed for recognition. It's not just about thinking, Lily chimed in, her voice breaking through with an urgency that resonated. Change is about action. We deserve to be part of that future you're imagining. Mr. Grayson's brow furrowed, but this time it wasn't with annoyance, it was contemplative. Clara felt the weight of 1,000 collective breaths held in suspense, the crowd leaning forward as they witnessed something unexpected. What had started as a confrontation now turned into a bridge one she prayed could connect them all. He nodded lightly, still wrestling with his thoughts. I'll need a proposal, something that outlines your vision, and just like that, it was as if a door had cracked open. A chance for dialogue, for a new path that could lead back to understanding. Clara's heart soared with tentative hope. But as the meeting drew closer to a close, Clara's mind raced with new fears. What if they couldn't capture the urgency of their dreams in time? What if their proposal didn't sway him? She glanced around at her community, their faces etched with doubt and hope. They had rediscovered their power tonight. But how far would it stretch? Mr. Grayson, she said, feeling a swell of courage once more. We'll do everything we can to make you see who we are and what Millstone really means. Will you stay with us as we fight for our future? His gaze softened, and for the first time, Clara felt a flicker of understanding begin to spread between them. Would he take the next step? As the crowd began to disperse, the air hummed with potential, but Clara couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. She had opened a door, but could they truly keep it ajar wide enough to let the light flood in? As she left the hall, a burning question lingered in her mind. Was this the start of a new beginning for Millstone, or just another fleeting moment in a much larger battle? Clara stepped out into the cool evening air, the weight of the assembly still hovering over her like a thick fog. The whispers of the crowd followed her, tinged with anticipation and confusion. She glanced back at the hall, where dim lights flickered like stars against the encroaching night. It was a drastic departure from the warmth that had blossomed in the room just moments before, a warmth ignited by a shared dream. Her heart raced as she walked down Main Street, each step echoing the uncertainty that had flooded her during the meeting. How would they craft a proposal that captured the essence of Millstone? She thought of the stories they needed to weave together. Their culture, their struggles, the lessons learned through generations. Clara! A voice called, breaking her reverie. It was Lily, hurrying after her, the excitement radiating from her. Did you see the way Mr. Grayson responded? I think we really got through to him. I hope so, Clara replied, a flicker of doubt weaving its way into her words. But do we have enough to show him? We need something compelling, something that makes it clear this is about more than numbers. Lily nodded, her brows knitting in thought. We could start with our histories. Our farms, our businesses, all the things that make us who we are. Maybe we can even include stories from the families who lived in Millstone for decades. The changes they've seen. Clara smiled at the spark in Lily's eyes. And the impact it has on our children, on the future. If we don't take a strong stance now, there'll be nothing left for them. They stopped in front of the old diner, light streaming from its windows. Memories flooded back, of late-night talks and secrets shared over greasy plates. This was part of their heritage, a gathering place where friendships formed and ideas sparked. What if we organize a storytelling event? Invite everyone to share their connection to Millstone. It could show Mr. Grayson the heart of our community, our resilience, our devotion, Lily suggested, her voice rising with enthusiasm. Clara's heart swelled at the idea. Yes. A night filled with our narratives about love, struggle, and victory. We'll remind everyone why this community matters. As they brainstormed, Clara felt the embers of hope start to rekindle. If people could come together, share their experiences, their fears, they could build a proposal that was impossible to ignore. But behind the excitement lurked a shadow of fear. What if Mr. Grayson looked at their proposal and still couldn't see the people behind the stats? There was so much more at stake than just their livelihoods. It was their way of life, the legacy they would leave behind. The night deepened around them, the stars twinkling above like tiny beacons of hope. Clara, Lily's voice broke through. We can do this. We have to believe that change is possible, right? Clara nodded, but uncertainty lingered. They had the power to tell their story, but would it be enough? As they set off towards the community center to gather more voices, Clara's mind raced with possibilities and worries. The journey ahead loomed large, each turn shrouded in doubt. Just as they reached the door, Clara paused, her heart thundering. What happens if we fail to make him see? Lily's hand squeezed hers, grounding her. We won't know until we try, and we can't let fear step in our way. Fear can't win. Clara took a deep breath, steeling herself. The ground was shifting beneath them, and the truth slapped her with urgency. Would they rise to this challenge, or would it push them deeper into despair? As the door opened, revealing a gathering place buzzing with energy, she couldn't help but feel that the time for action was now. And as the laughter and chatter surrounded them, one thought pierced through. What if this was more than just a fight for Millstone? It was a fight for their very identity. The community center buzzed with energy, a tapestry of familiar faces mingling under flickering fluorescent lights. Clara felt the warmth wrap around her like a comforting blanket, easing her storm of worries. She looked around at her neighbors, each engrossed in conversation, their laughter punctuating the air, reminding her of why they were there. Let us gather everyone," Lily said, her eyes alight with determination. They moved through the crowd, Clara greeting people as old memories flared to life. Mrs. Jacobs, the proud owner of the local bakery, was recounting a tale about her first batch of cookies, how she believed they'd been sprinkled with more love than flour. Clara felt a spark of inspiration. Could Mrs. Jacobs' story be one of their opening pieces? They needed anecdotes like these, sprinkled with passion and history. It would set the tone, highlight the spirit of Millstone. As the crowd settled down, Clara stepped up to the makeshift stage, her heart thumping with each heartbeat reverberating in her ears. "Thank you all for coming together tonight," she began, her voice steady, though nerves fluttered in her stomach. "We're here to share our stories, to remind ourselves of who we are and what makes Millstone special." A rustle of anticipation spread through the room. Clara looked at Lily, who smiled encouragingly, nodding as if to say, "You've got this." Clara took a deep breath, feeling the air fill her lungs, amplifying her purpose. Their first storyteller was Mr. Thompson, a soft-spoken elder who had farmed his land for over 50 years. He stepped forward, his hands trembling slightly, but the moment he began, Clara saw the confidence bloom in his visage. He spoke of seasons past, of droughts that threatened to swallow the land whole, and of the way the community had rallied to help him plant again. His story wound through laughter and tears, each tale a thread weaving through the fabric of Millstone. Clara watched the audience, their expressions transformed by his words, nodding and wiping away unshed tears. She felt hope swelling within her. This was what they needed. More voices rose after Mr. Thompson, each narrative a pulse in the heart of their mission. Young parents spoke of their dreams for their children. Teenagers stood nervously, sharing how Millstone shaped their identities. The younger ones, with quivering voices, gathered strength as they recounted winter nights spent sharing stories by the fire, dreams formed in those very moments. Each account revealed just how interlaced their lives were, the challenges faced and the triumphs celebrated. Clara could feel the audience growing more connected with every story, their hearts sinking to the rhythm of shared experience. But still, a worry nagged at the corners of her mind. What would happen if Mr. Grayson still looked at their lives like mere data points, calculating profits and losses without understanding their essence? Lily must have sensed her unease, leaning closer. "We're making them feel, Clara. That's what matters. It's not just about numbers." Then, just as Clara began to believe in the power of storytelling, a hush fell over the crowd. Clara turned to see Mrs. Jenkins standing, tears in her eyes. "I never thought I could share my story," she started, her voice trembling. "But Millstone gave me a home when I had nowhere else to go. It saved me." The vulnerability in her words shattered the walls of silence. Sobs rippled through the crowd, echoing with empathy. Clara felt her chest tighten. They were running out of time. These stories were vital, but would they be enough? As Mrs. Jenkins continued, Clara glanced at the door. The threats outside loomed like shadows pressing against their fragile resilience. She knew they needed to acknowledge that fear. It was part of the narrative too. With each story shared, the fight for Millstone became clearer. They weren't just standing against the loss of their homes, they were fighting for the essence of their lives, for their children's futures. As the crowd roared in applause for Mrs. Jenkins, smiles glowing across their faces lit up the room, Clara felt a shift in her heart. Perhaps the power of vulnerability and togetherness could shine through even the darkest of doubts. What if their fight was louder than any corporate voice? What if this very gathering inspired them to build a future worth battling for? And just then, a new voice emerged from the back, powerful and unsure. It was a newcomer, someone Clara had never seen before. "I have a story too, but it's not just about me." What would this stranger reveal? Clara's heart raced with anticipation. The room held its breath, all eyes turning toward the stranger. A young woman stood there, her auburn hair catching the dim light, framing her face. She looked like she'd been through storms, but there was a resolve in her expression. Clara could feel the air shift, thrum with possibility. "Hi, I'm Mia," she said, her voice a little shaky but strong enough to rise above the whispers. "I was born in Millstone, but I left." She hesitated, brows knitting together for a moment. I thought I could find a better life elsewhere. I thought I was leaving everything behind. Clara sensed the crowd leaning in, ready to catch every word, every emotion. This was it, the awakening they needed. I spent 5 years in the city, Mia continued, her voice softening. The bright lights were intoxicating, but I felt empty. I chased all the wrong things. I thought success was about money and status. But one day, alone in my tiny apartment, I stumbled upon an old photo. It was of our community center, and all of your faces were smiling back at me. I realized I was losing the most important part of myself. Tears welled in her eyes as she spoke. Clara felt her own heart twist in empathy, remembering how vital Millstone was to her own journey. I decided to return, Mia confessed, her voice firm now. I didn't know what I would find. I was scared that too much had changed. But when I walked through those familiar streets, I felt a warmth, a sense of belonging that I hadn't felt in years. She scanned the audience, her gaze resting on Mrs. Jenkins, Mr. Thompson, and others who had shared their stories. I realized that home isn't just a place. It's the people who lift you up, who believe in you. Clara caught a quiet murmur ripple through the crowd, understanding dawning as memories surfaced. Many had felt the pull of escape, the allure of the unknown, only to discover that where they truly belonged was right here, in the heart of Millstone. Mia continued, her voice rising with emotion, I've spent the past year trying to give back. I started a small program to help kids discover their passions, just like the way you all believed in me when I was little. The pause stretched, anticipation crackling in the air. But there's something bigger, something I've been working on to bring Millstone into the future. As she spoke, the energy in the room intensified. Clara's heart raced. What did she mean by something bigger? The crowd was now on the edge of their seats, curiosity mixed with hope glimmering in their eyes. Mia took a deep breath. I've been reaching out to local businesses, forming partnerships, investing in our community instead of letting it go. This isn't just about saving this place, it's about building it back stronger. And I want all of you to be part of it. Clara felt a tingling excitement spread through her. A vision began to take shape in her mind, one of collaboration, community, and a united front standing against the threats looming on the horizon. The applause erupted like fireworks, echoing off the walls, a resounding affirmation of Mia's message. Clara could hardly believe it. This could be the turning point we need, she thought. She glanced at Lily, who was nearly bouncing with excitement, eyes shining with renewed determination. But then, a pang of doubt rippled through Clara's mind. Could they truly pull something like this off? What were the ramifications of trying to forge such bonds with the outside world? She caught Mia's gaze, strong and inviting, and felt a stirring deep within her. As the applause began to die down, Mia raised her hands for silence. I know what I proposed is daunting, but we all have stories that matter. Together, we can change Millstone for the better. The room buzzed with excitement, but Clara's mind spun with uncertainty. Could they really take on that challenge? Would the community unite again in the face of such uncertainty? Before she could voice her thoughts, the door swung open with an ominous creak, a sharp wind slicing through the crowded room. Clara turned, heart racing. The figure silhouetted in the doorway was unmistakable Mr. Grayson. What would his presence mean for everything they had just begun to forge? Clara's stomach dropped. The stakes had risen. Clara's heart thudded as Mr. Grayson stepped into the community center, casting a long shadow over the vibrant gathering. The laughter and applause faded, replaced by an uneasy silence. Every eye in the room darted between him and Mia, who stood resilient and shining with hope. Seems I arrived just in time, Grayson said, his tone cool but edged with something sharper, something calculating. I hear there's a passionate discussion happening here. Clara felt a shiver crawl up her spine. His presence was suffocating, but more than that, it represented the very thing they were fighting against. She held her breath, waiting to see how Mia would respond to this unexpected shift. The young woman stood tall, shoulders squared as she met his gaze. Yes, we were discussing how Millstone can evolve by working together instead of tearing each other apart. We need to build a future that honors our past and our people. Grayson's brow arched, a flash of surprise crossing his features. And how do you propose that works? Partnerships with outsiders? Expanding what you want to keep? He leaned forward slightly, an amused smile curling his lips. How do you think that fits with my plans? Clara would have been afraid of confrontation, but not tonight. Not after witnessing the strength and resilience all around her. Millstone isn't just a business transaction, Mr. Grayson. It's the land of our roots, the shared lives, laughter, and memories that can't be quantified in dollars and cents, she interjected, her voice steady. A ripple of agreement spread through the gathering, emboldening Clara. She felt courage igniting from the collective heart of the community. You've seen our stories tonight. We're asking for a chance to show you how we can thrive together. Mr. Grayson crossed his arms, and Clara could almost see his mind racing through his options. You think this community can adapt to the future I envision? I'm not convinced. You've shared your feelings, but I need solid data, strategies I can take back to my board. Real numbers to justify my investment. Clara felt the crackle of tension in the air, but Mia stepped forward, undeterred. Mr. Grayson, we can work with you. We'll provide those strategies and tell you why investing in Millstone means investing in something bigger than just whatever dollars you think you're handing over. It starts with our people, our narratives, our collaborations. What does that mean? He challenged, a hint of curiosity escaping his composed mask. It means creating a local market that encourages small businesses to flourish. It means bringing people back to the community and turning this place into a hub for innovation while also respecting its history. We'll host events that unite our community and showcase our talents, Mia explained passionately. Imagine a place where entrepreneurs create, where kids learn not just in classrooms, but from their surroundings. The murmurs in the crowd escalated, enthusiasm blossoming. Clara could see her neighbors' excitement growing, intermingled with hope. What if we brought in workshops, connected with artists, educators, and local farmers to create a vibrant tapestry of what we can really do? Grayson surveyed the room, his expression shifting from skepticism to mild intrigue. Clara took heart from this flicker of interest, and a wave of determination washed over her. Mia is right. We have the stories, the heart, and we can build a model that works. You want numbers? We can craft a proposal together that quantifies our vision, one that compels you to listen, Clara urged. What's better than fostering a spirit of hope built on the foundation of what Millstone was, what it can be? Mr. Grayson seemed to ponder, still weighing the threads of what lay in front of him. Clara hoped deeply he could see the potential. They needed him to understand how special this could be for all. If you're genuinely committed, then let us see your proposal. I'll give you time, but if it doesn't convince me or the board. Thank you. We appreciate the chance. Clara's voice rang with gratitude as a buzz of excitement surged through the crowd. They had a mountain to climb, but tonight felt like a summit, a place of possibility. As Grayson prepared to leave, he glanced back at the crowd, sizing them up. I'll be waiting to see what this town can truly do. Good luck. And with that, he stepped back into the night, leaving a palpable energy behind. The moment he left, a collective sigh escaped the crowd, the tension melted into sheer elation. The room erupted in cheers, shouts of joy and determination flooding the air. We did it. We stood our ground. Someone shouted. As Clara and Mia shared smiles, lifting their hands in celebration, the community buzzed with renewed energy and plans began to form. Clara's heart was light, full of promise. Let us put together the best proposal Millstone has ever seen, she exclaimed, inspiring a chorus of agreement. And in the midst of this spirited buzz, she glanced at Percy, cradled in her pocket. Maybe it had all started with a small peanut, but now they were becoming forces of change together. As they banded together, their laughter mingling with excitement, Clara felt her soul soar. This journey had transformed them all. Millstone wasn't just a battle, it was a family, a community woven together by love and resilience. And they were just getting started. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach even more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts are what keep us going. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.